Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Manchester United are headed on tour proper. We are headed to the States any day now. The Manchester United traveling squad is headed over to the US of A to get their preseason tour going in earnest. I think once they officially leave Western Europe, Northern Europe, it's on like Donkey Kong. So they're starting in California. They got 2 games. We've got Arsenal Bluffers from London at Inglewood at the SOFI Stadium, and then we're headed down to SoCal, even further SoCal, to San Diego to play at the Snapdragon Stadium, sponsors of Manchester United, to play Real Betis. And then last game of the tour will be in sticky South Carolina against the Scouse Bastards. I can imagine it's going to be quite sticky there. But either way, we're moving. We're shaking. There's action happening in the transfer window. There's action happening in the front office. There's action happening on the training ground. And most importantly, preseason, we're talking about practice, sir. Let's play it.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice?
Remind the folks.
Practice. It's all about practice, but this is more important practice. I feel like this is the proper tour. We got the preseason, the pre-prees, as you would call it. As a good friend from Gibraltar might say, the pre-prees. And those were all the youngsters wearing kit numbers, no names, etc. Now you're coming on tour, you're going to get real numbers, real players, and hopefully an insight into tactics from Erik Ten Hag. We're playing some real teams. Arsenal, you heard of them. They had a good season. We did beat them last preseason, so if we beat them this preseason, still doesn't matter. Doesn't count. Real Betis, cheeky Spaniards in Southern California is going to be a lot of fun. And then the one I really want, the scalp I want, is Arne Slot.
Poor Arne
Slot and the Scouse Bastards. That is as close to a real game as you're going to get. These teams don't like each other. It will be a real sticky affair, like you said, humid in South Carolina. Who came up with that one?
I know.
Needs to be fired immediately. They're going to be sweating. The first half will be like as close to real tempo and play as you will see. And then obviously we have the Community Shield. And that's a 7-day turnaround coming from the United States, playing in a very humid match. And you have to fly to Wembley and get it done in London against Man City. That's a tough task. That's a real tough task. Tight turnaround, jet lag, the whole 9. Makes me a little concerned for the Community Shield, as that is a trophy and one that we want to win.
No, it is. Trophy is a stretch, but it is something we want to win.
Okay, a shiny plate that counts as a trophy in the trophy cabinet. Yes,
Mourinho certainly counted it when he did the big 3. We want to win. We want to win for a variety of reasons. We want to set the tone. We want a reason to laugh at City again, and we want to, most importantly, we want to reset the narrative around Manchester United headed into the season. It already has been because of all the positive things happening at United that we've been excited about, other fans have been excited about. But I agree, it's like that's a week out. My hope, the hope is there's only 5 games. Last year there was 8. That was a mess, and they are heading more east. These are starting in Cali and then ending up on the East Coast, so it's a 5-hour flight, 6-hour flight, a 5-hour time difference instead of an 8 from the West Coast. Maybe I'm reaching, but I agree. That's going to be a proper tune-up match. There should be a lot of lads back. Not everybody. I don't know how they're going to do with the English guys who went all the way deep in the tournament and the Argentinians that went deep in the Copa.
And Bruno,
who was hanging out with Varane. You'd love to see that. I don't know how that's going to handle it. So I'm a little worried about that because obviously City have a much deeper bench than we do. But like you said, formations are going to matter. Some of the new youngsters, maybe they'll feature. Lenny, he's going to feature. He's going to probably start. So either way, preseason's here. Summer transfer window's ripping. And we got Arsenal on the weekend in LA. Love to see it. Shout out to the American Red Devils. I'm sure some of our dear fans are headed down there. So send us photos. Give us your experience. Get there early. John and I said this before. Get there early. I think that is the new kind of MO for anytime you go to a game in a neutral venue. Like unless you're going to Old Trafford and then you want to get announced the hard part, get there early. If it's a UEFA game, if it's a Copa game,
it's 2024.
So you get there early, hours early, 2, 3, 4 hours out.
Times have changed. You used to be able to get there an hour early, not a big deal. Now you got to get there too. It's the rush at the gates, the crush. Like we felt it at the Euros. It was insane. Like crowd control. Everyone's trying to get there an hour before, and so you just got to beat that mass by like a solid 45 or an hour. But if I was going to SoFi, maybe 3. Check it out because it's going to be mopped and madness. I mean, think about it. The United preseason game in Scotland was delayed 15 minutes. Kickoff was delayed because of people having trouble getting into the stadium. So just a shout out to anyone going early. Even our friend who wants to go late to everything, he now will go early to soccer games because it's kind of turning into a nightmare and a mess.
It is, and that's not going to change. Like, I would recommend the same thing for the World Cup that we're going to host along with our neighbors. Get there early, and for this one, get there early and leave early. Because depending on where you're coming from in LA, and if you're new to LA, I'm sure a lot of folks who are going to the game live in LA, and there's gonna be a lot of people showing up for the United side, for the Arsenal side.
Leave early is controversial. Like it's a United game.
No,
you don't leave early.
Leave
like
for
a
the
neutral game at the Euros. You leave early.
Leave for the stadium early.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That came out wrong.
Yeah,
leave wherever you're staying,
nuts?
whether your house. No, stay, man. They're going to charge you an arm and a leg, and it's only 2 hours of football. There's no overtime. There's no extra time. All I meant was, like, if you're new, if you're flying in, if you're visiting, if you flew into LA, like, depending on where you are, just give yourself plenty of time. Your day is around this event. Have a great time. It should be a good one. We'll see some of the lads. You'll see Lenny. You'll see Mount. You'll probably see Rashford. So it's going to be a decent showing of the boys, and nothing like last year. Nothing compares to last year. We did the Saturday game in like LA and then the Sunday game in San Diego. And people were like, hey, where are all the real players?
That was a racket. We've seen a lot of things in the last decade at Manchester United. That was one of them. Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the American Red Devils, we are for fans, by fans. Please support the podcast. Check out our YouTube page. We're up there ripping right now. Please like and subscribe. Support our YouTube channel. We just got it off the ground in earnest here in summer of 2024. We even have a portable AC unit in the bunker thanks to all your support. So please like, subscribe, and comment. If you comment on the video, you have the chance to be the Muppet of the Week. Big shout out to Jim McGill 3885. He said, quote, like and share, everyone. These guys know United. They're true Reds. Like and share. Been listening to the pod for a few years. Go for it. And he said, and we said, thanks so much. Thanks for the kind words and support. So again, YouTube's doing very well. If you haven't checked it out, if you're just a Apple or Spotify listener, we recommend it because it's a lot more interactive and you get to see our mugs for radio. And if YouTube is not your thing, check out our Patreon page. The way we were able to get portable AC in the pod bunker is thanks to our Patreon support. The problem is we have to shut it off while we do the pod, so it heats back up. It's already hot. We don't have any commercial sponsors on the podcast. We're 100% fan-backed, fan-supported by top Muppets like yourself, patreon.com/American Red Devils. And if Patreon's not your thing, grab some merchandise. I'm wearing the American Red Devils shirt right here. You can grab it at our website. We got scarves you can see in the background of the pod bunker. On the wall, the Erik Ten Hag, Red Army, Glazer's out, Love United, Hate Glazer. Great options on our store. Please check it out. Everything you buy supports the podcast. And oh, by the way, we have a great website, fan blog content, AmericanRedDevils.com, history, songs about the club. We're trying to educate all of the Muppets worldwide about the best football club in the world. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews or 5-star reviews wherever you listen, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes. It goes a long way to helping us get
Is it
found.
iTunes?
iTunes or Spotify. It's already gone up 5 degrees in 5 minutes in this powder. I can watch the temperature just ticking up, and my face gets glossier and glossier. But write those reviews. They go a huge distance and help us get found organically by other top Muppets like yourself. And even better, we're giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review wherever you listen, but ideally on iTunes or Spotify, and send a screenshot of that review to AmericanDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address. And I'll personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear right to your door anywhere in the world. And we appreciate it. We appreciate everybody who's been checking out the YouTube. Checking out our YouTube channel, liking, subscribing, writing comments, all of that. Join Patreon. Check out the website, buy some merch. It goes a huge distance because it's just John and I sweating our asses off. It's quite hot out there. It's not quite South Carolina humidity, but there's a lot of bluster in this room and it heats up quick.
Hey, there's a lot of love for United, not a lot of knowing what we're doing as far as all this stuff. So that's why we're trying to get fan-generated content off the ground, and fans supporting fans, getting them up at Takeout is a big deal. And shout out to all of our great fans, this amazing community. We wouldn't still be doing this podcast if it wasn't for you, sir. Let's get into it. It's the Gunners. SoFi Stadium in LA. It's going down. SoFi Stadium, like all stadiums in the United States, sponsored by somebody. We don't have any cool names or anything. This stadium has a covered dome that's made of glass that heats up the field inside. Don't know who thought about that when it was in LA. So there's no AC. It's like an open stadium with a glass ceiling, literally like a magnifying glass. It's going to be hot in there. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, look at the photo.
Yeah. Looks hot.
It's literally like a covered stadium.
This is the stadium that famously couldn't fit a FIFA regulation football game, and then they had to move it around because it's going to obviously host World Cup games in addition to preseason games. So they had a little bit of a mea culpa. Like, $1 billion stadium, and we can't play the biggest sport in the world.
But if you get hot, they got this big pool that you can jump in right out front. Obviously, the Rams play here. It is a premier stadium in the United States. We'll be hosting World Cup games, and it's a cool preview that United get to face off against Arsenal here. As far as the Gunners go, lifetime record against Arsenal. Whew. We've won 101, drawn 50, lost 89. We've been on the losing tail of that for a while now, sir. Get in the last 5. Ooh. Last 5, lost 4, won 1. Brutal. And the Gunners cooked us last May, right before our run to win the FA Cup, if you can remember it.
Remember it well.
Obviously, a little history on Gunners. They are our rivals. Remember Fergie, Arsene Wenger, the touchline row, flipping the tie, Pizzagate in the tunnel. Cesc Fabregas, don't like that guy. But Arsenal's won 13 league titles, sir, 14 FA Cups, which is a record, 2 League Cups, 17 Community Shields, and some other ancillary items. They've never won the Champions League. We hold that over them. Founded in 1886. The munition workers at the Royal Arsenal in Woolwich founded the club as Dial Square, sir. And obviously, they contest the North London Derby against the Bottlers, Tottenham Hotspur, the Bottlers of the Bottlers, the North London Bottlers. They both bottle it.
They're both bottlers.
But look, Arteta don't like the guy as someone who has a unibrow. You know, he doesn't represent the unibrow population very well. You know, he's a nut. He thinks he's crowned as Pep's successor. He won the FA Cup, but obviously, you know, they've played good football. As much as I like to clown them, they couldn't get it over the line. This has to be their season. You look at City. City has to take their foot off the accelerator eventually. Arsenal, this does feel like their year. They're going to have a lot of players out, but it should be a good game. A contest between two teams, two titans of English football. I'm excited.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a huge rivalry going back. When John and I were getting into the game, it was just sunsetting. Like the rivalry between United and Arsenal was kind of cooling off because Henry was headed to Barcelona, and then Chelsea was on the up and up after Abramovich bought them, of course. So that was the new rivalry for United, at least I feel like in the mid-2000s until it became City. So Arsenal, very well represented club in the United States. There's a lot of Arsenal fans, even when we became fans. So they'll be represented in LA, and it's going to be a big game, right? They've had our number. They've been a top side in terms of how they play good football. Like John said, they definitely do. I can't give them that. They've recruited very well. They've recruited much better than we have. They put in a proper front office underneath the Cronkies. They finally got it right, and the old guy made way for the young guy, but it turns out that their young guys are a lot smarter than all our former young guys, the Glazers. So Cronky's doing a decent job of hiring smart people and letting them run, and that's just basically what you got to do. You don't get involved like a bully, like a Glazer. So, I think I don't like Arteta. He just comes off as such an arrogant prick, And Arsenal fans have gotten a little high. They got a little high on their own supply. They've gotten a little full themselves. And they should have won not last year, but they should have won it the year before last. I mean, that's when they truly should have won it, when they blew it. But, I think the City reign is coming to an end. I think you're seeing that. I think the pieces are starting to fall apart. Kevin De Bruyne's going to leave.
That's fake news.
Pep's going to leave.
Apparently that's fake news.
Is it really?
Yep. He's not leaving this year, but he's going to leave.
When they get charged, if
the band's breaking. Look, trust me, the City band is breaking up.
All I'm saying is the band's breaking up.
I agree. And Arsenal should be the first one back in.
That's what I meant. Is like there's going to be a void. There's going to be a void for United, but there's also going to be a void for the Arsenals and the Scousers and the Villas, because the City have gotten away with cheating for over a decade, and I think people are wise to it, and it's just about the FA coming down good. So this will be a fun game. They have a decently deep squad traveling to the States. We'll go through it in a second. Maybe that's because they have as many players featured in the World Cup as we did in the Copa and the Euros, but should be a good tune-up. I think it's their first preseason game of their tour, so they'll be coming up to fitness. Some of our lads will be, a little bit further along, but it's going to be hot. It's been hot, and it's been hot everywhere in the States this summer. And SoCal is no exception to that. So it will be hot. It's a little later in the day, but if you live in California, 5 o'clock could still be like the hottest part of the day if you're in the sun. So, hey, good fitness test, good opportunity to see more of the lads. Hopefully some of the guys who just came back, like McTominay, like the Danish lads, they get a chance to feature. We get to see more Lenny, hopefully more Rashi. So this preseason, baby, can't wait. Play the AI. Allen Iverson gets it. Just practice. But we need practice.
The season's coming fast.
Right around the corner.
It's like kind of scary how quick this tour is, and then bam, Community Shield. That's a real game. That's a real legitimate game. I'm already nervous just talking about it in the intro here. Let's get into the Arsenal squad for preseason. Like you said, it's a deep squad. Other than keeper, they're going to have Rojas, who's probably their number one. Ben White, Zinchenko, Timber. On the back line, those are really the standouts. Partey, Jorginho, LOL, that Jorginho. Smith Rowe, Odegaard's in there.
Trossard,
and then Jesus and Nketiah as well. So, this is a pretty deep Arsenal team. You're missing the Declan Rices. Saka, obviously. So, the big hitters who are playing at the Euros are not going to be there. Same for United. We were missing some big names, but this is going to be a good game. And hopefully what we see from Ten Hag is similar to what we saw in Scotland, dominating the ball, getting on it, playing out the back, seeing Lenny Euro get some minutes, playing against a really good team. That's going to be up for a game. And like you said, it's going to be a great day out at SoFi Stadium. It's on our time zone. All kickoffs are friendly in the USA. We can enjoy 3 games where we don't have to sweat getting up early. So, just a great day. Excited for this one.
Oh, 100%. And I think you made a really good point last time we were doing the pod where you talked about the significance of the United traveling squad, which we'll talk about in a second because it hasn't actually been announced, is really going to be telling to who Ten Hag is bullish on in the youth ranks to give a chance this year. We're already hearing some rumors. Who's that guy?
Toby Collier.
He'll 100%
be on the list.
Henry Amos will likely come. So I thought that was a really interesting point because that's true. It's
Harry.
I'm on fire today, bro. So that's going to be very telling. It's going to be a good run out with them. They're going to have I'm telling you, pretty deep squad that lines up because most of these players should be ready to go for the first 45 minutes. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to, like you said, it's 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. What's not to like there? So should be a great tune-up match for United, and we need tune-up matches. You need just the right amount, and it feels like once a week is kind of perfect with training in between.
All right, who is your player to watch on Arsenal for this preseason match?
I picked out Jurrien Timber because he was a player that United were a little bit linked to during our transfer targeting of Martinez. He was obviously at Ajax under Ten Hag at the same time Martinez was. We signed Martinez, who I'm happy with, other than the injury. And Timber went for considerably less, which was shocking. It's probably more of an indictment of United's front office. But he missed most of last season. He's a highly rated player. The tape I have seen of him, he looks very good. So I just thought he'd be an interesting player to take a look at. I've seen Odegaard. I've seen, what's his name? Jesus. I've seen Zinchenko. I've seen half these bluffers. I'd be curious to see what we missed out on. if he has a decent minute. Hopefully some of our players can get behind and embarrass the Arsenal because, I don't like him either.
No, this is a good call out. Plus, if he comes good, Arsenal are pretty deep when it comes to center back.
Good point.
And then looking at Manchester United's rumored squad, we do not have it as of taping on Monday evening Pacific time. Manchester Evening News did say the dream squad to take to the USA, so we're going to kind of go with this, react to it. Obviously, Onana, Bayindir, Heaton. I wish I could take Heaton's job. That's the best job in the world. He's like playing for England, going as an extra keeper as a coach, coming back to United, taking a check, hanging out with these lads. What a life. Defenders, Magoo, Euro, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Evans, Lowe, Shaw, Martinez, Malacia, Fish, and Murray. I doubt you're going to see Shaw. Obviously, that's the Manchester Evening News dreaming a little too much there.
Right?
And you're not going to see those two. But again, seeing Magoo would be great. Seeing Lindelof would be great as well. You'd like to see a Magoo Euro pairing, something like that to kind of get an idea of different center back combos. Midfielders, Casemiro, Eriksen should be back. Obviously, Bruno is out. Mainu is out. McTominay will be back. Mount will be there. Hannibal, Gore, and Scanlon. I'd like to see Dan Gore come on preseason. Probably not Scanlon. And obviously, the other youngster Ten Hag played. I can't pronounce the name. The 19-year-old he played in the midfield, I think might have a shot at coming as well. And then obviously you want to see Xerxes come. Hojlund link up. Rashford, Antony, Sancho. Garnacho probably will not be there. Ahmad will, and obviously Wheatley. The real question would be if Joe Hugel gets to go. That'd be like a punt as well up front. I like to see that. I like to see him and Wheatley go toe-to-toe for who's the youngster who's going to break through. Seems like Wheatley has the crown, but Hugel had that banger. So it's going to be interesting. So whenever the list is set, it's going to tell you a lot about what Ten Hag is thinking, what youngsters can potentially break through this year. So I'm actually very impressed to see who's actually traveling to the USA. We'll probably see it early tomorrow, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And also, who's not traveling, right? I think that's going to be an indication. Some of the youngsters will make sense, but like, will Hannibal travel? Or is he going to be sold because they haven't seen enough? I think there's possibly legs there. Will Antony travel? Or they're going to try and get him loaned? Sancho's probably going to come because they're still trying to show him off to get sold, I think. But like, that will also be telling. I like the Wheatley-Hugel competition because we have so much need for another striker, even with Xerxes coming in, given his profile. So
I want to see Xerxes.
I do.
I want to see Hojlund. I want to see Rashford. I still want to keep seeing Sancho. Antony doesn't play for United anymore, as far as I'm concerned. Garnacho, have a break. Yeah. I like to see Luke Shaw kind of be like, hey, I didn't really play too much of the Euros. Like, I want to get fit. Come on tour. I like to see that showing a little dog this season, something like that, instead of just taking the full meat pie vacation, So.
And Lenny, more Lenny. I just want to see more and more of him play against Premier League team. Obviously, this is a preseason game in the United States of America, but still, we saw a lot of promise in that opening 45 minutes against Rangers. I think most United fans are excited, rightly so. So more of that. I want to see him to keep that going. He's also he had some quotes this week just talking about it. Like the dude's dialed in. He's like, we're going to win every game. I was like, bro, it's preseason. When we win in preseason, we usually suck. And when we suck, we sometimes win. So I like that mentality because it doesn't really matter. But I think like setting the tone, like performance matters. We have to go out there and look good. Like you said, we have to dominate possession. Even about a team that did much better than us last year in the EPL. We have to go out there and seek to dominate possession, not get ripped open like we had during much of last season. So excited for this, excited for the time zone, and excited for more preseason because this should be a fun one. Saturday evening, what's that like?
Yeah, and that's kind of weird because preseason is not a results-based game. It's a chance to try things. It's a chance to get chemistry with your teammates, right? It's like probably bonding, traveling throughout the U.S. Enjoy yourselves, get on the pitch, link up, learn how players are going to play together, see different views from the bench. The manager can, put Sancho at false nine, rotate him out on the left, get a different vibe of how players are going to play together. And that's what it should be about. It should be about experimentation, having a good time, scoring some bangers like we saw in Scotland. And obviously, United coming to the United States is special. As an American Red Devil, you always like to see them favor the United States. It's not a surprise, but we do like to make the trips out to Old Trafford. It's always nice that they come to the United States.
Yeah, because we've been to some games. I saw them play at before it was MetLife. What's the new stadium where the Giants play, sir?
Meadowlands,
The old Meadowlands. Yeah, I saw them play the old Meadowlands.
Yeah, like Sopranos Meadowlands, like the Meadowlands we grew up with, the one that we went to. Yes.
So there's no shame in preseason. So it should be a good run out. And like you said, I like having them come to the States. I love seeing. I just something about them, like when they're training in LA, like at the UCLA. Like I'm not sure they're doing that. I know Mourinho loved to do that.
UCLA, yep.
They just look like they're having a good time. So, makes me proud to be an American, proud to be a Manchester United fan. And let's get a result. And more importantly, let's get a good performance. Have the boys look like they try. I like that. Luke Shaw, come ready, because I have a feeling Ineos is going to sign somebody as well. That could be like a little bit of competition for the lad, because Malsi has fallen off. He needs competition. I think that brings out the best in Shaw, like we saw the first year when Malsi is signed.
Yeah, and so much to track this season as a United fan, right? It's been a very exciting summer, and it's only going to gear up because, man, we got the Community Shield coming fast, and we got to get a lot of business done. Jumping to fan questions here at SSGrock17, quote, ready for the season to start, fellers. Up the Reds, y'all. Absolutely. We can't wait. We're buzzing for the season to start. Need to get on the right foot early. At MHersey5, quote, how many more outgoings do you feel is realistic at this point in the transfer window? Who would you like to see sold? I think I know who you want sold for a pair of corduroys, sir.
I think they're going to sell as, of the non-elites, of the non-Kobe, Garnacho, Bruno, Lenny, not unsellable players. I think they're going to sell as many players as they can. I think, if they got a good offer for Maguire, they'd sell him. If they got a good offer, for Sancho, of course they'd sell him. I want Antony and Sancho sold and replaced with better players. I want Lindelof sold. Those are the egregious ones. Those are the top of the list. Obviously the fullbacks, but top of the list. If we can move one of Antony and Sancho, I think that'll be a huge result for Manchester United, just because they don't seem like they want to sell and just rest on. They want to sell to buy, which is good, because even in the day, Glazers will sometimes sell and just sit on it. So, those are my tops, would probably be those two wingers I mentioned and Victor Lindelof, who has to go.
No, that's a great point. I'm generally agreed with you there. My one concern about this window and how aggressive Ineos is being is you can sell too much. You can make too many changes to where the team is literally starting week one in the EPL and they haven't played a lot together. And so as long as they do it, selling Sancho, I think loaning Antony, keeping Sancho for a season, or maybe trying to deal him in January is a good move. If you look at the attack, players coming back from Europe, I think you need Sancho. He didn't look bad. He's an option. If Ten Hag and him can stop playing mean girls and just get along, I think everything will be all right. He's a player. He's professional enough to show up and play on the pitch. It's probably everything else, the homework or, watching tape, he doesn't really care for. But again, there's a lot of players in 2024 who don't really care for it. So Lindelof, I do think should go. I think that's a surplus player we do not need. And Casemiro, I'd like to see sold,
Casemiro,
obviously,
of course,
and replaced. At Carry Unwind, quote, do you think the big clubs should break away from the Premier League and move abroad in response to the UK trying to regulate football? A move to the U.S. or an international league could be extremely lucrative for United. Look, I think this is a great question. I don't think it's going to be a breakaway, but I do think a fight is still going to be had about a Super League of some sort, and this is only in relation to what UEFA is doing with the Champions League. The new format is this year. Look, we're playing 8 games in Europa League. There's going to be 8 games in Champions League. The money is not distributed as well as it could be. If these the top teams in Europe could literally create their own Champions League, they never miss out on Champions League football, and they just make money every single year, a la NFL, right? It'd just be insane. The amount of money they could make would be $1 billion a year. United would be worth way more overnight. Everybody would be incentivized to do it. And how long can you keep that from not happening? And so there's going to be something's got to give in that situation, where if United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich all came together, created a league, then they're going to make $1 billion a year. and they never miss out on top 4, then like there's something to that. And that's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. And games are played in like Riyadh and they're played in New York, and something's going to happen. It's money is gravity. These clubs are going to move towards the gravity that is the money. And I don't know how this gets solved, but UEFA making them play more games, making more money, and then splitting the pie with more teams is clearly something's going to break. I don't know what the response is. I think it's some sort of super league where half the teams are in it always, half the teams are invitation type, something like that.
I do think there's a break coming. I think there's a break coming because the guys who run the show, and I actually think the ones who have been egregious are like UEFA, FIFA, and then
Like every
like the non-FAs, if you will, like the other ones who run the tournaments have just pushed more games, more friendlies, more games.
What's more money? Look at the World Cup, more games.
No, I get that. I understand that. I've been saying that. Like you said, money always wins. Money is like gravity. It goes the lowest common denominator and heads downhill from there. But I would like to see, like, I never want to see United leave Manchester, and like you don't want to lose the fabric of the game in England, which is super special, right? All those hundreds of clubs that exist and the pyramid make it the best sports product in the world. To me, the best sports product in the world. So I would prefer, like, hey, let's play the Community Shield in New York because no one really fucking cares. So why don't we just play it in New York?
Well, that's the FA, right? So I think that it's going to be UEFA and Europe is where things are going to break first. I think the Premier League will still stay. United will be in that, but I think then United is also going to push back on the Premier League and be like, we're not going to play on double game week Wednesdays anymore. Like there's going to be like a pushback against all the fixtures, and even the FA is they'll play the Community Shield abroad, and they'll try to add
one game a year,
39 and 40 to the season, and they're going to. So there's just going to be football is going to change. And I feel like it's coming. And so the question is a great one. Carry on wind. We'll keep you posted, but I hope things kind of stick together for the moment. But I do feel there's cracks under the surface. Look, that's it for the podcast. An amazing Arsenal breakdown and preview. Let's hope we beat the Gunners, sir. Score predictions against Arsenal.
2-1. I think Mount scores. They get a goal. Maybe, I don't know, Jesus or Odegaard, and who gets the winner? It's going to be Joe Hugel on a roll. Who you got? What's your score prediction?
I think it's going to be a draw, 1-1. KG affair, good first half. Lots of kids in the second. Gets a little sloppy, but, I think the score is less important. It's more how do we play? Can we dominate the ball, play out the back, etc. against like a great high press of Arsenal? Look, that's the pod. You like the America Devils? Check out our YouTube page. Look us up, America Devils on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Like our socials as well, sir. We got podcasts. You can review us there. It's all free. Patreon.com/America Devils. Support us. Go the extra mile. Also, our store, americadevils.store. Get some merch for the pod. Support this small-time operation. So give us our top 10 downloads last 7 days.
Number 1, how you doing? Chicago, Illinois. Los Angeles, California. Dublin, Ireland. Brooklyn, New York. Philadelphia, PA. New York. Atlanta, Georgia. Manchester, England. Oslo, Norway. And Melbourne, Australia. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. We couldn't do it without you. Big preseason game headed just around the corner. And the season, like John said, is right around the corner. Community Shield, August 10th. Can you believe it? We're almost back. And in the meantime, we've seen it all. We've won a lot. We're Man United, and we're never going to stop. We'll see you all next time. It's going to be a good one.